Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Hope you guys are doing well today. If you were surprised over the case metals that Tudor has used in some of their watches, like the 925 silver and the 18 karat gold black bay that they released during Watches and Wonders this year, you're in for a surprise with this new watch from Tudor. Tudor has released a black bay that's made fully out of ceramic. It's a really interesting watch, and what I thought I'd do is give you some information about this watch, give you my thoughts and the opinions that I've seen kind of throughout the watch world. I'll say it at the beginning of this video, I do not have this watch in my possession. These are simply my thoughts, so if you are looking for an in-depth look at this watch, this is not going to be the video for you. But what I am going to be doing is putting up some videos and images of this watch so you can see this watch while I talk through it. I always say at the beginning of this video because I always get someone commenting saying you don't even have the watch. I said it in the beginning of this video, so you have nothing to say now. So diving into this watch, like I said, Tudor has really been playing around with some of the case metals that they have used in some of their watches. At Watches and Wonders this year, we saw a 925 silver black bay, and we also saw an 18 karat gold version of the black bay, which I thought was pretty cool. It's a different way that you can kind of iterate on what you've already created. If you think about the black bay, it's a fairly iconic, at this point, a fairly iconic design that people think of when you think of Tudor, and in order to not really change that design too much, you can really play around with the case metals, which can make some fairly interesting watches. So like I said, this watch is fully made out of ceramic. Both the case and the bezel insert are made out of ceramic. The case has this really interesting brushed sort of dark matte finish to it. And then the bezel insert actually has a PVD finish to it as well. What's really cool about this watch is, like I said, it's this dark black aesthetic motif, the color motif that you can see. It reminds me a lot of the Omega Dark Side of the Moon, and I think it's a pretty cool version that Tudor has come out with. A lot of their other ones are not bright colors, but you think of like red, blue, red and blue as some of the more common ones. I really like this one because it's actually a dark case, a dark dial color. So the only really pop of lighter colors, the hour indicators and the hours, minutes, seconds, hands. When you turn this watch over, what's really cool as well is that it has a new in-house movement. It's the MT5602-1U. This is a new in-house movement from Tudor that's actually been certified by METAS, which is the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology, which is located in Bern. And this is something that I think started in 2015, where there's there's many tests that the watches have to go through in order to be METAS certified. And two of them it has to be completely Swiss made, and it also has to be COSC certified. So you're getting a Swiss made COSC certified movement from Tudor, which is pretty cool. They're really elevating the expectations of the movements that they have for the movements that are going to go into the watches that they sell. I think this again elevates Tudor as a brand. Yes, I've seen some talks about how Tudor is really just, you like Rolex, you like Tudor designs, but I actually think this has really elevated Tudor as a brand, if you're looking from a technical perspective, but also maybe something a little bit different. Another thing that's quite different about this Tudor, obviously you have the Tudor signature and shield at towards 12 o'clock, kind of above the center of the dial. But then if you look below towards 6 o'clock, you can actually see Black Bay written and Master Chronometer written. This is a pretty interesting move. This is the first time we've seen a Tudor Black Bay or a Tudor watch with Black Bay written on the actual dial. This is reminding me of what ended up happening with Rolex Submariners when they first came out, and then they started writing Submariner on the dial. You can also think of it as Cosmograph, and then eventually Daytona was written on the dial of this watch. And I think this is going to be a pretty defining moment for the Tudor watches themselves. Master Chronometer obviously has to do with the METAS certification. It's an absolutely beautiful watch. I really love it. What's pretty interesting is if you actually look at the bezel, the numbers and sort of indicator marks on the bezel itself are completely hollow. There's actually some depth to it, and I think that's a pretty interesting thing to do. There's nothing that's there's no you know, loom on the inside of it. You basically are able to, basically just is almost like an engraving on the bezel insert. I thought this was pretty cool because it's a different aesthetic, but I think it really does go really nicely with this, almost like it's like a darker finish to it as well, which I think is pretty cool. Like I said, the movement is a new in-house movement. There is a display case back so you can actually see it. There's also a dark black finish to the movement as well, so it goes with that similar aesthetic. This is a really beautiful watch for 4,500 Swiss francs. This is a really cool black bay if you're looking to maybe get into owning a black bay. One of the things I also wanted to talk about is just sort of the perception that I've seen online and some of the opinions I've read about. So a lot of people have given Tudor some flack for really being only the black bay. You know, they do create a lot of different watches, but basically everything has become the black bay. Their chronographs, everything has kind of followed that similar aesthetic, their similar motif. And so when you're going through a catalog, the Tudor catalog, it's just black bay after black bay. And I understand where people are coming from, you know. They want to see something different, something a little bit more exciting, and that's a fine opinion to have. But when you think about it from Tudor's perspective, they've created a watch that obviously is in demand, people like, and really fits what they're looking at to create for their brand themselves. So the way that they can kind of experiment with it is by playing around with the case metals, and we can see that 925 silver, 18 karat gold. Now we have a ceramic black bay. This is a way that they can kind of play around with it. I know a lot of people have been saying that they're sort of nervous of if Tudor is going to become sort of like a little bit more like their sister company Rolex, where they aren't really going to be iterating off their designs very often. It's going to be very small changes that they make that will be the releases that they come out with. But I think it's cool. They're pushing the limits with the different case metals. They're also trying to make technical advances in their movements in order to create something different, and I think that's really cool for a brand like Tudor. I think if you think about the watches that Tudor kind of competes with, let's say Omega for example, it's their way of sort of trying to push the boundaries and saying, we are doing all of these things in this price range. Our competitors may not be doing similar things like that. So it's definitely a cool thing for them to be doing. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this watch. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I think it's a really cool looking watch. I love dark finishing like this. I think it gives a very different feel to the watch. This actually comes on a leather and rubber strap, which I think is kind of cool. I would probably have it on a leather, just my preferences, but I can see how a rubber strap would be really nice, especially in the summer. I'm actually a huge fan of rubber straps in the summer. Yeah, let me know in the comment section below what you think about this watch. I think it's pretty interesting. You know, feel free to leave some comments about this watch. I will say the bezel that I was talking about does have some of that white finishing on it as well, so that does also give it a little bit of pop of color that you're not going to see with the dark case. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you'd like these types of videos. We basically cover watches at Life on the Wrist. There is a corresponding article in our editorial section of our website for this watch. It's a very cool watch. I'm really glad that we got to cover on this channel as well as at our website. If you want to check out our article, you can go to lifeonthewrist.com and go to our editorial section to read that. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, it really does help us out with our analytics. So be sure to smash that like button if you like these types of videos. And with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.